Hello everyone. Today we have with us Mr. Dwarka Prasad, a professor and dean at School of Economics and Finance at Avi University. Welcome to College Dunya, sir.
Thank you.
I'll start with the interview, and my first question to you would be about your career. So, sir, you have held key position at Education Institute throughout your professional career. So, what are the key factors that keep you connected with the education sector?
Well, first and foremost, as you keep moving up, you are in a rare profession where you are meeting younger and younger generations. So I think that's a good enough motivation. I remember when I started my career, I started very early in my life. I was almost 23, 24 when I started in my academic life. And now at this age and stage, after almost 21, 22 years, I am meeting people who were not even born, and I'm teaching those kids who were not even born when I started my academic career. So that keeps me young. I think that's a good enough motivation for anybody in teaching profession to keep going, and keeps you alive, keeps you excited about what are the possibilities about it, meeting and talking and learning from a generation which is so different, which is so savvy, digitally savvy. And so I think that's the good enough motivation for me to keep moving in. Yeah. And plus exciting thought about creating impact in people's lives, creating a new knowledge, sharing that knowledge from you seek knowledge from all around. So I think these are 2-3 really key ingredients. Institutions change, positions change, but I think 2-3 ingredients of an academic life is about seeking knowledge, new knowledge, creating new knowledge, disseminating knowledge, and creating impact in people's lives. I think that's good enough motivation.
Definitely, sir. So my next question to you would be, being the director of School of Economics and Finance at Avi University, what is your philosophy of leadership? How would you describe your leadership style?
It's a tricky question. I think I would not define it in a particular theoretical construct. I don't know. That's for organizational behavior professors to deconstruct it. I personally feel that you need to inspire people who are working with you, because money, positions, institutions don't inspire people. People get inspired by people they work with. So as a leader, you need to be very thorough with your own work. At the same time, you have to put in the same benchmarks for yourself, what you expect from your team. And thirdly would be to create a team. Leader is as good as its team. A lone leader can't do anything, especially when you're doing institution building. So the first and foremost task is to actually create a very good team. Especially as a leader, one needs to be very, very sure about self, which means you can and you should always bring people who are better than you in the team, and then give them the responsibility and enough freedom to do whatever they would want, and watch their back. If they commit a mistake, as a leader, it's easier said than done, but then it's always, helpful to watch their back, give them enough motivation, hold their hands. At the same time, keep learning from them, because because you become a leader over a period of time, you have an age and stage and the work you've put in. But there are people who can come up with better ideas. A leader doesn't always have the best ideas. It's actually others who have the best ideas. Leader's job is to enable those best ideas to execution and get it implemented. Any leaders are not the ones who know the best, but they know who know the best, and let them do the job. I think that's my leadership style. Bring good people and let them do their job. So that's how I've always believed it.
Very inspiring. So my next question to you would be that how do you strategize about the key programs and plans for the marketing and administration of your college?
So of course, as you know, RV University is a new university, but the RSST trust is very, very old. It's an 8-year-old trust. So we do have the benefit of a legacy which is 8 decades, legacy which has created amazing institutions like RV Teachers Training College or RV College of Engineering, which is one of the most famous colleges in Karnataka, and the new upcoming colleges which are there in the dental space, healthcare space, and the architecture space. But the vision of the trust, and now the Vice Chancellor, Professor Y.S.R. Murthy, and me, who's the Pro Vice Chancellor also, is the fact that we would like to create a true interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary institution. So we are starting the university with our 3 schools: School of Liberal Arts and Sciences, School of Design, and School of Economics and Finance, which I'm also the dean of. The idea is to redefine and revolutionize the undergraduate education space. So far, India had, silos of excellence in the IITs and the IIMs and the few other institutions. The university space was just seen as a degree granting space. I think at RV University, our idea is that our BA, BCom, BSc programs or a BBA program needs to be as professional, as good, as rigorous as a BTech program is. So anybody who is doing it is, our programs is no less than the other professional programs or an MBA program. So the way we are visualizing it and defining the vision of our university to create professional programs across domains. The domains could be liberal arts and sciences, the domains could be film studies, the domain could be psychology, domain could be design, domain could be business studies or management or economics or finance. The domain could be law over a period of time. So what we are defining our new institution is to redefine in the spirit of new education policy. We would like to be the first institution in the country to implement the suggestions and the guidelines of new education policy to create a true multidisciplinary institution where irrespective of the majors and the minors, students can crisscross between 2 schools. It's very, very modular. The linkages with industry needs to be very, very strong. And we need to co-create and co-deliver the curriculum so that students are job ready also after 3 to 4 years. The way we would like to look at our university is utilizing the best what is Bangalore has to offer, which means it is the Silicon Valley of Southeast Asia or more. We would like to look at entrepreneurship as a major area, startup culture in a very, very big way. And we would also like to see our university to create an ecosystem to bring industry, to bring students, to bring academics and researchers together. So we would like to be a platform where people can come, congregate, collaborate, and create.
So you talked about the industry. Does RV University has any plan of collaborating with any major players in the industry?
We are already doing it, Tanya. We are already doing it. Even I can't name those institutions right now, but till the time the final MOU is being signed, but we are working very closely to close to around 5 to 6 big institutions across domains of digital, e-commerce, data science, financial services, to co-create and co-deliver programs with their help, which means the industry bodies will be working with us in defining our curriculum, ensuring that all the cutting-edge skills are being imparted through workshop modes and live trainings to the students. We are also ensuring that from the inception of the program itself, students get, it's not like after 3 years you go to industry. Every term industry is coming to you or you're going to industry, which means we'll have field visits. The industry will come to our campus. We would have people teaching across domains through blended learning. Now that Zoom has become the de facto learning platform, we will ensure that students get multiple internships, at least 2 internships in a year, both summer and the winter internships, and ensuring that those companies who are supporting us in creation of the curriculum will also hire our undergraduate students. So that is the plan. And we are already working very closely with them on this.
This sounds really interesting, sir. Sir, moving on to the fact that the education system in India and other foreign countries are structured very differently. So in your experience, what can an inbound student gain from studying here in your university?
See, we need to look at a couple of factors which differentiate an international university and us. A typical international university has 2-3 benefits. First benefit is their legacy. Typical international universities, with the exception of some in US, but even they are almost 100 years old. Typical European universities are 3 to 4 to 5 to 600 years old. So they do have a huge legacy. In India, modern education is less than 70 to 80 years old, and RV University is very much from that legacy of almost since the time independence happened. Secondly, they benefit a lot with their tie-ups with industry. So they are very large multi-faculty universities where sciences, engineering, medical, biosciences and others are very closely entrenched with industry, which means professors are running companies. They have tie-ups with, like for example, look at this Oxford University AstraZeneca vaccine thing. So it was researched in Oxford with the scientists coming from AstraZeneca as well as Oxford. And then later on, it was manufactured in India by Serum. This is the kind of network they have. In India, we have to create similar networks across the field of not just in the sciences and engineering and medical, but even in liberal arts, even in films, even in various disciplines, in business. We have to create those very strong linkages with industry. Third, where Indian institutions have always, because our population is so large that we don't have to worry about students from other countries. But I think where Indian universities have lacked in last couple of years, and they are changing in last couple of years, is to have a diverse student body. The diversity of the kind of countries a university represents. I remember many years ago, I'd gone to Canada in an international program. So they had flags of 130 odd or 140 odd countries. The students are studying from as many countries. In India, no university can talk about more than 10, 12 countries. And that too typically coming from SAARC, or they're coming from African contingent and, those of African continent. So I think Indian universities have to be a bit more outwardly looking, attract students from different countries, because the kind of quality of education and the price at which we can offer is not being exploited as much as European and the American and the Australian universities have done it. I think we have to think global. We have to bring faculty from across the different countries, and we have to bring student body from various countries to make it a truly global, university setup. And I think being in Bangalore, which is as cosmopolitan and as global as any other city in the world, I think we are very rightly poised to create Bangalore's first global university here.
Definitely. So, sir, what would you say that the curriculum of RV University ensures the best practice of industry?
As I earlier said, Tanya, we are not creating curriculum sitting in our drawing rooms. We are going to industry, we are meeting the industry, we're meeting academics across various countries. We have set up a global academic advisory board. You'll be happy to know that for my school, which is School of Economics and Finance, we have 10 very senior professors from university in Spain, in universities in America, universities in Brazil, universities in Japan, universities in UK. So they're all Taiwan. They're all coming on board to be part of our global academic advisory board, and this number will go to almost like 20 people. So the curriculum is created in discussions with these academic senior people from various other foreign universities. Then we are taking inputs from industry, very critical inputs from industry. We are creating a board of studies where we are having representation from industry, from academia, from various think tanks, public policy groups, and others. So even when we are creating the curriculum, we are taking all the inputs and details and expert advice from relevant set of people. Then we would want to deliver this curriculum also with the help of all our partners. So while our faculty would be carefully chosen, and we are already selecting some of the best people in academia, we are also mindful of the fact that not everything can be taught by us. So we are partnering with these academic institutions abroad that they will also, teach some of the curriculum. We are partnering with industry that some of their senior people will come to our classrooms and discuss the nuances of the businesses or give the cutting edge knowledge and skill. Yet at the same time, we are also looking at blended learning for our students. We are in close talks with Coursera at campus. And we might integrate some of their best courses which are delivered by Princeton University or Harvard University or Yale University as part of our curriculum itself. So we would like to be very, very flexible and nimble in our approach. We do not want to claim that we know the best. We are collaborating and curating the curriculum for our students, and they will get inputs from foreign faculty, they will get inputs from industry, they will get inputs from our own core faculty, they will get inputs from the blended learning through Coursera and other tech platforms.
All right, so you talked about the global exposure that the students will be getting when they get admitted to your university. So is RV University planning on for some foreign exchange programs as well?
As we speak, we already have signed up 3 MOUs, and there are 4 or 5 MOUs are in pipeline. We have signed MOU with Essex University in UK. We have signed MOU with Siena College, which is a liberal arts college. We're talking to Sophia. We're talking to University of Cincinnati. We're talking to colleges in Japan. We're talking to colleges in Europe. We're talking to colleges in the university, which is one of the largest universities in South America, called University La Parana in Brazil. And we are talking very close talks with Murdoch Universities, which has campuses in Asia as well as in Australia. So from the beginning itself, we are creating global exchange program as part of our DNA. And imagine we are such a young university, and we are talking to universities which are 200 years old, 300 years old, and they are coming on board. And they see our vision. They know what a trust has done in last 80 years. We have 20 institutions. So we are not a fly-by-night university. We are a very serious player in this, process of institution building. And student exchange, joint conferences, faculty exchange are built in from the program itself. We are talking to very few good film schools in Edinburgh. We are talking to design schools across Europe, so that students who are taking diverse majors and minors across 3 schools will have enough opportunity to go on exchange. So it's not that we are just looking at only Western universities. We already have signed up an MOU with OP Jindal Global University, which is a QS ranked university and very high in NIRF, and it's an institution of eminence. We already have 8 schools. So we have signed up an MOU with them so that their faculty and their students can come to Bangalore. Our students and our faculty can go to Delhi NCR and engage with them. So students can get both within India as well as outside India, multi-university learning exposure. That is something which we are planning for them.
Sounds great, sir. Sir, we talked about limited number of foreign students in India coming to study in India. So, sir, any insights on how your university could be more welcoming to the students of different races or economic backgrounds, including people from other countries?
Yeah, so we are doing it, running special campaigns. Firstly, we would want to bring in students from all over India, which means all the 28 states and other union territories. We are running special campaigns for Northeast because in Indian universities, my experience is that Northeast's, representation sometimes is lacking. So we are trying to see if we can bring in students from Seven Sisters and give them some great opportunities. At the same time, we are writing. I've already sent letters and our brochures to close to around 100 and odd countries and their consulates in India. We have written to the Consul General, we have written to the diplomats, and we are telling them that they should share these details with their countries, schools and colleges. We are also partnering with some global institutions like IC3, and hopefully we would be working closely with them, and they represent close to 15 to 20 odd countries where teachers and school principals come together, and so that we reach out to them and tell them that these are the programs we are offering in Bengaluru, and hope that in years to come we will have representations and partnerships with those schools and other institutions. Because of pandemic, we are unable to travel to many countries. Otherwise, typically there are a lot of school fairs which happen across various countries. We would like to send our representation to these school fairs where, like foreign universities, we would also want to compete in the same market and provide an opportunity to Eastern European students, to African students, to Middle East students, to SAARC country students to also look at India, especially Bengaluru, as one of the best places for them to come and also find job opportunities, because it's one of the most cosmopolitan and global places you can find in this part of Asia.
Right. Thank you, sir, for sharing your insights on RV University. I think any student who would want to have such a global exposure and such dynamics with the industry would love to join RV University. Sir, your last message to the students who are aspiring for colleges in Bangalore or in RV University. What are your thoughts how they should align themselves in the future?
My thoughts to them would be to try and explore as much as you can. Try to get as much exposure as you can, and hence places like Bangalore, not just my university but other universities as well, would like to really provide you enough exposure. Third, when you come to a university like RV or others, utilize those 3 to 4 years in doing many things. Just don't sit in the classroom. Just don't do only the academic work. Do a lot of internships, do a lot of projects, utilize those 3 to 4 years into co-curricular activities, participate in plays and theater and music and sports, and do everything what you would like to do, so that you end up becoming a very well-rounded personality. And whenever you are in campus, irrespective of what you're studying, try to create a new enterprise, which means do a startup. Even if you fail, you have a great story to tell. So 3 to 4 years, expose yourself to the best of the opportunities the city has to offer, the institutions has to offer, the companies has to offer. Try to do a startup, meet people from diverse backgrounds, develop your personality, and hone your skills, pick up your skills very, very critically. I think these are the 3 to 4 things which I would recommend a grade 12 students who've come in these times to universities like ours to be more, do more.
Yes, sir. Thank you for joining us at College Dunya, sir. It was
It's a
great
pleasure.
talking. It was great talking.